Okay. Shelter is among the basic necessity all humans need to acquire in life. The construction sector in a civilized society is a professional body which shoulders the responsibility of housing fit for all. Today, such provider of physical infrastructure is essential to human sustenance and economic development. Moreover, the advancement in vertical city expansion is enormous and to be celebrated. However, such development comes with human and material losses. For over 3 decades, Nigeria has been experiencing collapse of multi-story buildings. Another tragedy in the sector struck on Monday, 3rd July 2023, where a 4-story building under construction collapsed in the afternoon at the Life Camp area of the Federal Capital Territory in Abuja. 9 persons have been reported rescued so far from the rubble, while search and rescue for more survivors are ongoing. To investigate this phenomenon, our discussion tonight on the program will delve into the mystery behind the collapse of buildings in the country. I am your carrier, Clinton, and you're welcome to Nigeria Today. I am joined here by Umar Shuaibu. He's a former coordinator, Abuja Metropolitan Management Council. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And also here in the studio with me is architect Ajibade Adeyinka, Assistant Director, Development Control Department, Abuja Metropolitan Management Council. Welcome to Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
It's good to have you
Thank
here.
you.
Now I'll just go straight to the point, Mr. Ajibade. We are the site of this collapse at Life Camp. Give us an update. What's the situation like right now?
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunate the accident happened yesterday, a building failure, after all attempts to prevent a situation like that by the department. It's really unfortunate that all attempts made to stop the developer from continuing in error and progressing in error was refused by him. It's an approved building site for 4 suspended building with a basement. He moved to site with approved building plan. He discovered the site had a difficult topography and which necessitated a redesign of the approved building plan for basement, and he had submitted for that. All attempts for him to comply with the procedure and the protocol of approval has failed. They have evidences to show over time communication with him, on stopping him from progressing in error, but he has refused that. Then the accident that happened yesterday was just the climax of the whole process.
Okay, now you were there. We understand that 9 persons so far have been rescued. So tell us, any more rescued people so far?
The good news is that no life has been lost, okay, and all people on site have been accounted for. And the rescue process has come to a close.
Okay.
Because there's nobody there on site to be rescued.
Okay, so nobody trapped?
Nobody trapped.
On there.
Yes.
Okay, that's good news so far. So, Umar, I know early this year we had a similar incident that happened at Gwarimpa. I know you followed up the case with a particular estate. So tell us, what is the situation right now?
Yeah, that Gwarimpa building collapse, I think it's of a bigger magnitude than this one. And that, first of all, what we do is we go on site to rescue lives, just as has just been done now. Our first target is to rescue the life of people that could be trapped whenever there is this type of menace. We have finished that, and then we went into the investigative stage of what led to the collapse. a committee was set up, that of the Gwadimpa incidents. I chaired the committee, and that we sat in a record time and submitted the report. And that the report has been submitted, and whatever was submitted has been approved. We are now implementing. Unfortunately, I'm not on in the office now to monitor the implementation. However, I believe that the office is capable of implementation of that report. More so that we identify the culprits, those that have played key role in the occurrence of that incident, clearly identified. You see, it's just unfortunate that our people do not respect law, they don't respect regulations. Just the way it has just happened. All the building collapse that happened in this city, and anywhere that you see, because Abuja is a product of modern planning, and there are departments that are in charge of these regulations, you cannot commence development without building plan. And even if you have the plan, you have to implement based on whatever has been approved for you. But in the process of the development, developers always try to cut corners, thinking that they are saving costs, not knowing that they are also endangering lives. The developer has more at stake because he's losing both his property, his investment. Some of them, their life savings, to build a structure where they can be able to defend on later on in the future or whatever you can think of. However, in thinking of trying to save material, trying to save money, things like that, the investment goes. And that is the decimal. That is the denominator of whatever building collapse that you have, is try to cut costs. And if you look at most of these buildings that collapse, most of them are those 2-story, 3 stories, 4 stories recently. Those that goes higher than that, the people are more careful. They make sure they provide the right reinforcement, the right concrete mix, and everything to make sure that their development stands. So these are some of our observations on whatever is happening. Definitely, the committee has submitted the report, and the authority is on the course of implementation of that report.
Thank you very much. Now, I think it's so disheartening that over time we hear buildings collapse. And it's not like we don't have the expertise. We have the professionals that can handle this. But why do we keep having building collapse? The other time it was in Lagos. You know, of course, they have the highest number of collapses, building collapses. So why do we always have this recurring decimal?
Yeah, let me put it to you straight. Construction or erecting a house is a system. In the whole system, you must follow the processes and procedures, from design, construction, and post-construction. If any of the protocol at any point in time it is joint, you are likely to have this kind of hazards or disasters along the line. Most construction failure could be as a result of design failure ab initio. Right when it was being designed, there may be some error in the design that will ineffectively make the design implementation not workable. Or with a good design, construction methodology, inferior material, lack of supervision, all these are potpourri of factors that you need to put on the table before you have a standing building that is fit and proper for human being. At any point in time you are trying to breach either out of knowledge, lack of knowledge, or trying to cut costs, you may face this kind of situation. So what do? We ensure that developers work within the protocol established. What are these protocols? You must apply for building plan approval. Once that building plan approval has been granted, you really don't submit your building plan approval without a consultant, a registered professional of architect, structural engineer, mechanical, electrical, preparing the drawing for vetting in development control. And they are returning of professionals to look at it. So errors are noticed and adjustments are made, an approval is granted once they are satisfied to meet the minimum requirement. But that is not the end of the story. There's also a process after post-approval, which is called setting out building inspectorate. What do? You intend to ensure that there's a compliance, relative compliance with the approved building plan. So along the line, you may observe that what you anticipated in the design, in the foundation, the soil nature may be different. Every meter is different from every meter along the line. But once we're on site, the development control staff is also in a position to identify possible errors. And we may ask for re-investigation of the subsoil, of the geotechnical of the soil, and a resubmission of design to ensure that you actually work to get an approved building plan. So from the start to the end, it's all up and down. And there's a lot of effort from everybody in it. So most of the contractors are trained. Some of the developers have registered consultant working with them, which is a priority, a prerequisite for development in FCT. You must be a registered professional to oversee a building construction. But along the line, we still have some lapses, errors, not as a result of lack of supervision, but as a result of developers trying to cut corners out of lack of knowledge for the consequences of their actions. But we try as much as possible to ensure that they comply.
Okay. Earlier when he was talking, he said they made every effort to ensure that the developer kept to the regulations, to the all the protocols and everything has been followed to the letter. But even at that, he still refused. So what should be done, or what can be done to a person that refused to adhere to the strict regulations, in carrying out the building and all of that, and eventually look at what we are having now. So what should be done to this kind of person?
Prosecution. Yes. It's the actual arm of the punishment of these offenders that is lacking. Because if there is punishment, it will serve as deterrent to others not to continue committing the same type of mistake or the same type of offense. Most of these ones, some of them are not mistake. You see, if you see mistake, some sort of, there is maybe lack of knowledge or things like that will cause a mistake. But there are some that are not mistake. They know that whatever they are doing is contrary to what the law allows them to. But they want to cut costs. They want to beat the system. And that's what leads to all these problems. Now, you see, the first line of action that people see are the people on the site, the regulatory body, that is Development Control Department, because they give the approval, they go to monitor the development. But beyond that, there are other stakeholders. There are the security agencies. There are the judiciary. Because by the time you go on to that aspect of the punishment, the security comes in, the judiciary comes in. By that time, it is not under our own control. We hand over whatever information that they need from us by the time we submit for the prosecution. But it is not followed to the letter. So we do our own. Let the security agency, let the judiciary do their own to make sure that all these people are punished. You file a case on the court today on people that have made this type of violations that are supposed to be punished. The case could linger a long time to an extent that it got watered down. Administration comes and goes. The people that know what happened then will not even be in the system maybe by the time the case could be determined. Unless we are swift. Whenever we have this type of challenge, we do our own, we submit for the prosecution, let that thing be done in good time to make sure that things are not watered down. And if people see that those that commit to offense are being punished, I know they will sit up.
All right, we are going to pause for a break, but we'll be right back after this message. Please don't go away.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different?
We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that are questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today. Welcome back. It is still Nigeria Today, and my guests are still here with me, two gentlemen. Now, Mr. Adeyinka, some early this year, when we had the collapse of the Lagos building, the chairman of the Lagos State branch of the Nigerian Institute of Architects, David Bajekodumi, he said something. He said that the state should adopt outsourcing of monitoring of construction sites as one of the ways of solving this building collapse. What do you say to this? Because just like you said, every arm of government has its own function. They have their own limit. They have where they get to, and they hands off for the other section. But I think what do you think about having monitors on ground that will monitor the building from start to finish? Because if we have such people on site, would we have this kind of incidents?
Yeah, any help, any intervention to prevent a building failure or collapse would be welcomed. And the truth about it is, unless we change our ways, no matter what you bring on board, you will still get the same result.
What do you mean by changing our ways?
I mean, prosecution. If people don't comply with orders, if a private consultant goes around site and the developer is still recalcitrant and doesn't want to do it, you will still get the same result. The most important is that there must be duty of care, and somebody must take responsibility for it. There is an action of negligence on site. The developer has a duty of care, and the law stipulates that he should employ competent people, both as consultants and as contractors. If this is done, monitoring becomes easier. Because if you're using, for example, there is no reason why we should have direct labor for any building more than 2-story building. Contracting complaints, construction complaints are graded. And the grading A, B, C, D is as a result of evaluation of their competence. So if you know a big complaint can handle a high-scale job, a small company can handle a small-scale job. But what we have is, from the beginning, people want to undercut the industry. People underbid for a project and becomes unattractive for people who have the competence to do. And if you are competing for it, for example, shoring and other protection you need to put on the site to ensure that these things doesn't happen, comes at a cost. But you have other companies who will not put that into their overhead, and they will take the job, and they will deliver the job, but with a risk. If you are lucky that this doesn't fall, then it appears the developer is happy. So we need to regulate both the developer, the consultants, the supervisors, and the monitors. All the system must be intact. You cannot take one and leave the other. If you want a normal production, normal society, every part of the gear must work in sync. One, the funding. If there's a funding gap, you should have a budget per square meter. What is the value? What is the cost? If it says X amount for a square meter and somebody is giving you X less, you are already risking the project. Then funding gap becomes a problem. Once people start a project, they can't fund it, then they look for ways to cut corners, to reduce it, and over time, this supervision is lost. They change high turnover of consultant on the site, and you see it coming back to ground zero.
Yes, that brings me to my next question. You talked about people that probably they don't have enough money, they want to cut corners. Now, the other time you were on this program, you talked about pressure from owners of this building. That we're talking about prosecuting the developers. What about the owners of the building that put pressure on these people? Should they also be left out from this persecution?
No, because they're also part of it. In the report that we have submitted, both the developer and the professional, the engineer that supervised the project, all of them, we called them to the office and we drilled them. And we found where the fault is. And the places was those are to courts that must have a case to answer. We identify them. The developer should be involved if he knows that this person that is employing cannot deliver. Why should he employ him? It's his money, and he is more sure that whatever is done on site is there supervising. But this is sure by he feels that this professional, this engineer is giving him a less price, that he feels that he can save his money by, irrespective of whether the work is standard or substandard. That's what should happen. So the engineer and the developer, most of them, mostly they are culprits to all these ones. And anybody that is found wanting must be prosecuted. And then, you see, the engineers, most of them, despite that they are professional, they are qualified to practice, but they have so many projects. They leave at times people that are not qualified to supervise a building that they must not leave to any other person. It has been happening. And when the developer, when the engineer is not there, the qualified engineer is not there, so many things happen. We call them, we interview them, you see whatever this man has been telling you is not that it doesn't comply with the normal norms and all what have you. And yet, he's being employed by the consultant that is supervising the project. So we have all this type of challenges. Now, all what we must do is to make sure that we educate the general public. The general public must be educated to know the dangers of this one. Either you save your money and lives and make sure that you provide whatever is needed for your building to stand, or you lose all. That is, there's no two ways about it. So we must spend money to make sure that we have the right product, things that must stand. Is capital intensive. We either spend the money or we leave it.
So, Mr. Ajuba, I just want to round up with this one. Can we get to a point in this country when we will say we no longer have bidding collapse? Is it possible?
It's a possibility.
So how can that be possible?
It's follow the system, follow the laid down protocols. From the subscriber to the developer, to the professionals, and the society at large. It's a system. How much are you ready to pay for a housing unit? There must be minimum standard, minimum cost. So it's a throwback on all sides. So if you maintain this system, I call, from pre-design, design stage, construction, and post-construction stage, involving many stakeholders, we understand that, look, building construction is a real big business and is a serious business. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry believes he can build a house. I mean, not everybody can deliver a woman in a C-section. So delivering a house is like a medical profession, that you must be a professional before you make an attempt to deliver a baby. So a house is like delivering a baby, with specialists all along the line. So at any attempt to breach it, this is what you get. And unless the society itself agrees that, look, we are no longer having direct labor, either form a building society or contracting society, whatever, to ensure that the best possible value is gotten for value.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that's it on Nigeria Today. We want to thank our guests for sharing their thoughts with us. Former coordinator, Abuja Metropolitan Management Council, Umar Shuaibu. Thank you so much for your contribution.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And also Architect Ajibade Adeyinka, Assistant Director, Development Control Department, Abuja Metropolitan Management Council. Thank you so much for your contribution and your time. And also to our viewer, thank you so much for always being a part of this. Don't forget, Nigeria Today airs weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also watch these and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. Thank you for watching. I am your carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.